City volunteers in Sri Lanka distribute aid supplies to landslide victims in Kagalle County. City volunteers conduct the second stage of home visits for typhoon victims in Taitung. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Siri Su. Thank you for joining us. In mid-May, a devastating landslide occurred in Sri Lanka, forcing many residents to evacuate to temporary shelters. It has been 2 months since the disaster, and city volunteers visited the victims again to distribute supply vouchers while checking their living conditions. Let's take a look. This is a temple located in Kagalle County of Sri Lanka, but now it has become a temporary shelter for landslide victims. On my right hand, 12 families live in this shelter. Here are only 3 mattresses. However, 40 people need to take turns sleeping on them. In addition, the other victims are forced to sleep on the straw mats in the hallway.
We don't have enough mattresses and mosquito nets, so we are often bitten by mosquitoes. The environment is not friendly for children, and the water may sprinkle inside when it rains.
Life has become hard for the victims after the disaster. Therefore, Tzu Chi volunteers visit every temporary shelter to give out supply vouchers with a firm resolve, despite having to travel on bumpy roads.
Tzu Chi volunteers come here to offer them something they really need. Most people have donated rice, food, and daily supplies. However, nobody donates beds. Blankets and Jingsi folding beds can help them live more comfortably here.
Despite having lost their homes, the affected residents are not alone, since Tzu Chi volunteers are there to help them with love. In May this year, Sri Lankan residents in Kagalle County faced serious flooding and destructive landslides in the mountains. Nearly 800 households were displaced after the disaster. In response, city volunteers assessed the damages and recently organized an aid distribution to pass out blankets and Jingsi folding beds to those who are still unable to return home. I am currently at a distribution site. Although it is not the best weather, the people gathered are praying that the rain will stop so that the distribution can proceed smoothly. Despite the rainy weather, the Tzu Chi Foundation is holding an aid distribution in Sri Lanka in Kagalle County. Volunteers have prepared over 3,000 blankets and Jingsi folding beds for the disaster victims.
We are so happy to receive these gifts from you. Sincerely, bless all of you.
After establishing connections to this community in Sri Lanka after the May floods, volunteers take the opportunity to appeal to residents to protect the earth and remember to cherish natural resources.
To mitigate the effect of global warming and reduce disaster, let us all together cherish our resources, protect the environment, and practice reduce, reuse, and recycle.
As residents return to the community shelter with their blankets and folding beds, some of their basic needs have been seen to. Although many of their homes are still being rebuilt, at least they rest a little easier with a good night's sleep. Next, we visit the Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter, which is hosting 4 local seminary students who are learning about service to others through hands-on experience. In Indonesia, a complete university education involves 3 different areas: classroom education, personal research, and service to others. Let's visit these seminary students as they learn through volunteering with Tzu Chi.
University education in Indonesia has 3 major pillars: classroom education, research, and service. Recently, 4 seminary students from Sanata Dharma University's seminary school have come to spend 3 weeks with the Tzu Chi Indonesia chapter to practice giving of themselves.
We came to learn about Buddhism and how Buddhist practitioners practice compassion. Since Tzu Chi is making a great contribution to society, we chose to volunteer here.
To learn about dedication and compassion, these seminary students have come to Tzu Chi Hospital to personally care for patients.
As I was helping push the patients in the wheelchair, it really touched me because we rarely have opportunities to help patients. It's a good opportunity.
Jadi saya merasa ini kesempatan yang baik untuk melakukan hal itu.
I am very happy just to have someone to talk to. I'm happy I could receive care from the future priest.
Caring for other people and caring for the earth are two varieties of compassion. In addition to cherishing life, these young seminary students are also learning to cherish our natural environment.
Now we have to organize our own schedules. Before, we were used to having everything organized for us. Now we have to show discipline and use our time to the greatest possible effect.
These 4 young seminary students are spreading positivity and compassion, and they are sure to be a great benefit to society in the future.
While public and private school teachers face challenges associated with their future survival, the same is also true for university teachers who now face a teacher evaluation system, which allows students to contribute their input and potentially determine the fate of teachers. This new system fundamentally changes the student-teacher relationship. Many people are now considering how to adjust the system to put teachers and students on the right path.
After teaching for 30 years, this professor now has to go on the internet to see how his students rate him.
Here, take a look. It's not particularly good or bad. There's only rankings such as full support, average, and I don't support. Some schools have a numerical rating from 1 to 5.
We receive a survey which we need to complete before being able to get eligibility to register for the next semester. Students aren't able to see the evaluation submitted by the entire class, but teachers have access to it.
At most universities now, teachers not only grade students, but students are also able to grade the teachers.
If some professors are serious about teaching, there will naturally be some positive feedback. But if teachers don't do their job well, they will also get feedback which reflects this.
If we get the notes from the older students who took this class a few years ago and everything is exactly the same, we'll feel that this teacher isn't taking his work seriously, so we may just give this teacher an average recommendation.
According to Article 21 of the University Act, universities should establish an evaluation system for teachers regarding their teaching, research, mentoring, and the effectiveness of their service. This should be used for faculty promotion and appointments, long-term employment, termination of service, non-renewal of contracts, and other awards. However, some openly question since when are students given the power to evaluate teachers?
Teacher evaluations didn't go into effect just recently. However, more universities vigorously promoted this system in 2005 as part of a teaching excellence project to improve the quality of teachers.
Early on, such a program focused on achieving results and improving teacher performance. Now universities began taking the opinion of students seriously as they carried out teacher evaluations.
The goal of education is to improve students' learning potential. However, allowing them to review their teachers may or may not achieve this, which is an important issue we must consider.
From the perspective of teachers, student evaluations also now pit them in a relationship where they are equal. This is a challenge to teachers' traditional roles of conveying wisdom, instructing, and dispelling doubts.
Students may say that your methods of conveying wisdom are not as good as ours, and that your instruction doesn't meet our demands. This may in turn challenge and question the teacher.
会不会有因为这个样子，有的老师反而去迎合学生，对于不适任的或者是
This could cause some teachers to cater to those students who are not serious. Should teachers have the same attitude when it comes to evaluating their students? I think that this matter has been singled out for discussion.
Discussions have included the design of the questionnaire to evaluate teachers. Here we see one used by a public university where it first assesses the student's overall degree of satisfaction with the course and then any recommendations students may want to contribute. Later, students are asked to evaluate the learning environment and their overall impression. And finally, they are asked to judge the effectiveness of the teacher's lessons. However, not every school has the same design for their questionnaire.
All the questionnaires will be handed over to the school and the academic department to evaluate which teachers are suitable for continuing teaching. If many students complain to the school about a particular teacher, this individual will be asked to write a letter explaining this problem.
But some question if it should be left up to students to judge a teacher's professionalism.
你是不是能够第一个，你的问卷是学生看的？
First of all, can the students understand your questionnaire? And secondly, was the questionnaire carried out ethically? We do have academic ethics where we need to question if students should be able to judge the professionalism of their teachers.
Scholars believe that the current evaluation system should undertake further reflection, namely reflecting on whether the purpose of evaluation is to ascertain whether or not the quality of the instruction is good or bad, or simply a tool to help improve the teaching methods used in class. These two different goals may simply require different questionnaires.
这条路是这样的，必须一直走下去的。只是说。
The path to education will need to continue, but there are some technical aspects that need to be overcome so that both teachers and students can accept the outcome.
In this educational survival game, perhaps teachers and students should return to the original forms of sincere communication, instead of leading teachers to constantly fear for their jobs if they receive a poor evaluation.
In Southern Africa, Tzu Chi volunteers recently traveled to Botswana to hold ceremonies in 2 communities to welcome local volunteers and present them with uniforms. Despite adverse weather, the local volunteers attended the gatherings with joy, ready to take on more responsibilities. Let's join them there. Tzu Chi volunteers from Lesotho and South Africa have recently traveled to Botswana to formally present Tzu Chi uniforms to volunteers in Old Naledi and Kakutu. Despite the strong winds and low temperatures in Kakutu, Tzu Chi volunteers do hold the ceremony, attended by local volunteers who brought joy and excitement to the event.
It started raining at midnight last night, so we left Botswana in a car.
During the 4-day stay, Tzu Chi volunteers have welcomed those who want to join their ranks and will cherish the precious memories of their gatherings.
Tzu Chi volunteers continue to visit families affected by the recent typhoon in Taitung. 100 volunteers took 26 different routes to visit typhoon victims in one day. Among the families they visited was a disabled man whose roof almost flew away. The volunteers not only show their care for him, they also hope he can get back on his feet soon. Let's take a look. On this day, Tzu Chi volunteers, led by Mr. Lee, come to visit a family in need.
I saw Tzu Chi volunteers at work yesterday, so I told them about this ill man whose roof collapsed.
50-year-old Li Shuimu, who suffers mobility problems due to a car accident, lives in a cabin in the forest. He tells the volunteers that he could not run away on the night of the typhoon.
I was very nervous because I did not know where to go to if this got blown away. I was very nervous because the rain and wind were very strong.
In the cabin, the metal sheet covers the hole on the roof, while the watermarks are clearly seen on the ceiling. The owner worries that the cabin cannot protect him against the elements should it rain again.
We have been waiting for organizations to come help us, but people are all very busy now.
I hope this house can be quickly repaired. Otherwise, I'm disabled and cannot move or do my own repairs.
After assessing the situation, volunteers offer words of encouragement and hope that the house owner will find the courage to soon get back on his feet again. After Typhoon Napatak devastated Taitung, Tzu Chi volunteers and people from all walks of life have been continuously helping affected residents. Through the disaster relief services, local residents and volunteers are learning the happiness and joy of giving and helping others. Let's take a look.
Tzu Chi volunteer from Taitung, Yang Dongsheng, is busy taking notes, answering the phone, and driving to visit affected residents. He never gives himself time to rest after the typhoon has struck this region.
We should visit them with a compassionate heart and empathize with their misfortune. We will surely follow up their progress in restoring their homes. It is necessary for us to help them if they need it.
Tzu Chi scholarship recipients and Tzu Chings also think it's their duty to help those in need.
I think this is a good deed. I want to spread the love that other people gave me.
This is instant rice. If you have boiled water, you can open the bag and place the rice in the bowl, just like the way you would cook instant noodles.
People from all walks of life have volunteered to help affected residents in Taitung, regardless of age.
We are moved by their effort to restore their damaged homes. What we can do is to help them. Even a little help goes a long way.
We never experienced this kind of disaster before, so we don't know how to deal with the aftermath. I now believe that we can face anything since our will has been strengthened by this disaster.
With everyone's compassion and composure, many in Taitung believe their community will soon return to its former glory.
Typhoon Napatak has passed over Taiwan more than a week ago, but Tzu Chi volunteers are still in Taitung giving help. Some elderly Tzu Chi volunteers are cooking for typhoon victims at Taitung Jingsi Hall. A group of young people went to Haiyun Jing Temple to clean up the area after the typhoon left a mess there.
Wearing the volunteers' vest, these young people cheer for themselves as they help clean Haiyun Jing Temple in Mount Dulan.
The Dharma masters at this temple are female, so they don't have much strength to move these heavy tree branches and garbage. So we asked some villagers to help clean up this temple.
Some people have gone to help in Taimali, and it's clean now. Since this place needs help, so I came to help. We just help each other.
These trucks of dead branches tell us how powerful the typhoon was. But to the Dharma masters of the temple, these broken branches are very useful.
We cut branches to shorter pieces, then we can use them as firewood to boil water, for hot bath, for example.
While these young people are sweeping up out there, many elderly Tzu Chi volunteers are busy in the Jingsi Hall.
I can't handle any labor, but I can cook, so I came here to do any work that needs to be done.
These volunteers are senior Tzu Chi commissioners in Taitung. Despite their health problems, they still want to help the typhoon victims.
Because I can't go participate in home visitations, I came to cook food so I can form good affinities with other people.
If we can do it, we must do it. No, we mustn't stay home because time passes by quickly.
Taitung was devastated by a typhoon, but it is also rebuilding slowly, thanks to the love pouring in from all over Taiwan.
In Taimali, Taitung, which was devastated by the recent typhoon, Tzu Chi volunteers who helped clean up the debris of affected residences have discovered that many residents have been sleeping on the ground. Therefore, a group of volunteers and Tzu Chings visited Xianglan and Meihe villages to distribute Jingsi folding beds and blankets, hoping to improve the living quality of typhoon survivors.
The volunteers travel for half an hour from Taitung City to Taimali, where many residents are waiting for help. Some people are very nervous.
It's very comfortable. It's fine. Very advanced.
The elderly no longer has to sleep on the ground because his mattress has been soaked after the recent typhoon. Meanwhile, in Meihe village, the owner of an 80-year-old traditional house is upset by the typhoon damage.
There's nothing we could do since it flew up.
He's now staying in the sheet metal house nearby.
I sleep here. I can sit and sleep on it. Visitors can also sit on it if they come to care for me. So I must say thank you.
The Jingsi floating beds will help the typhoon victims rest better as they face the challenges ahead.
Super Typhoon Nepenthe caused devastation to China's Fujian province, affecting some 650,000 people. Amongst the hardest hit area was Minqing County, where 1/3 of residents were impacted by the storm. After floodwaters receded, Tzu Chi volunteers from Fuzhou, Xiamen, Fuding, and Putian distributed aid, comforted victims, and surveyed disaster damages as they toured the area on foot.
Flood waters were taller than a person as this traditional courtyard-style house has been turned into ruins. Tzu Chi volunteers are inspecting Fujian province's worst affected area, Minqing County. As the affected residents clean up their damaged homes, volunteers take a tour of their homes. The typhoon rendered many of these homes to be quite dangerous. It was the largest flood this area has experienced, collapsing both homes built from bamboo and wood, much of which has been strewn in alleys. Tzu Chi volunteers quickly delivered supplies at a distribution point. Many of the recipients of the aid were quite saddened by the loss of their homes and how everything could be gone in just one night.
8个小时的时间，整个房子唰就没了，然后它是一游出来的。
我知道你很恐惧，很怕，但是都过去了，水都退了，那我们平安了最重要。
感恩。Tzu Chi volunteers respectfully give supplies to disaster survivors.
谢谢你们，好人平安哦，好人平安。
Aside from providing relief supplies to disaster survivors, Tzu Chi volunteers also helped lift their spirits and comfort them during their time of need, helping many smile once again.
The World Council for Curriculum and Instruction, WCCI, recently organized the 17th World Conference on Education in Budapest, Hungary, around the theme of educating for democratic governance and global citizenship. At the event, 2 researches done by representatives of Tzu Chi were well received by the conference attendees. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us. Goodbye.